Yes, guys. Yes, people. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream. Hope everybody's been enjoying the international break or just the break in general. It's the last one before we're just head down and straight into football for the next 4 months, which I actually feel a little bit more excited for, especially compared to last season. But we're going to delve into the entire season as a whole. We're going to delve into the last couple weeks, the pros, the cons, all the big questions, and anything that you guys have for us in the chat as well. So big up to every single one. You shout out to Georgie, shout out to Chelsea, shout out to Arta, Musty, Vinny, big up to Known Unknown. Big up to Zare. Yeah, we just hit 51k. Up the Chelsea. Shout out to everybody watching. Big up to every single one of you. And again, that's another shout. So if you guys haven't subscribed, every single one of you sub right now. We're on the road to 60k. So everybody get involved. And yeah, Guni, big up, my guys. Great to have you back on the channel. We had you on last week, but with all the chaos, we barely even got to like properly talk and delve into Chelsea. So I hope everything's been good, man.
Yeah, everything's been good, man. I can't complain. Obviously, the last show, it was meant to be Chelsea and Arsenal fans discussing the game, but it just turned out to be Arsenal fans just going at each other, which is no problem to me. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you got such quality guests, man. I mean, big up your girl, Lee Gunner, Northside, Dawood. Like, you know what I mean? Big up all of them for coming on, but it definitely was entertaining for us.
Trust. It turned into Arsenal v Arsenal for like the first half an hour. For any of you, man, who haven't watched it, head over there immediately after this stream, man. It was the battle of the bridge for fucking sure. But everyone sub over to Guni's channel. The link to his channel is in the title. It's in the description as well. And yeah, like we spoke about that game needing to be a must win. And we spoke about us needing to take a big scalp. We yet again haven't done that. But I don't really come out of that game furious, other than with a few certain players, individual players, and some lapses of concentration. But ultimately, I don't really find myself that annoyed with that game. I don't know how you're feeling coming out of
it. Personally, I'm still pretty annoyed. One of the overarching reasons for me is just the pure fact that I absolutely loathe Arsenal. I hate Arsenal. Anyone that knows me knows I hate that club so much. And I just never want to see anything less than a win. And then I've still got the 5-0 from last season fresh in my mind. That's still a trauma for me. I wanted to get something back for that. We needed to get something back in blood. But obviously those are egotistical reasons of my own. You know,
it's tribalism, which is fine. I'm with you.
Exactly. I was gonna say nothing wrong with that when it comes to tribalism, but then when we really look at it for what it is, I'll start off with Manchester United. I said that was also a must-win, and I also said that if Maresca doesn't win that, it's going to be a red flag for me. It's going to be one red flag for me because, you know, regardless of Manchester United, new manager bounce, they say, the fact remains that we still have a better team than them. And even up until that point, we were playing much better football than them. And on the balance of things, we really should have been coming away with 3 points. We should have. So I was very disappointed that didn't happen. Listen, I get it. People will say we ain't won at Old Trafford for 11 years. But if we're going to keep that mentality and just accept it because we ain't won somewhere for 11 years, when are we going to actually expect to win over there? Do you know what I mean? When is it going to get to a point when every single game, every 3 points counts and we're actually going to be competing for stuff? Are you going to be saying that then? Absolutely not. So we've got to start somewhere. I wanted Manchester United out of it. That would have been great. Then the Arsenal game, we already know, like, before they came to us, I believe it was like three games on the trot with no win.
Without victory for them,
Yeah, exactly. So we had an opportunity to make it 4. Now, granted, look, Arsenal, they're a good team. As much as it kills me to say, they're a good team. I shouldn't be demanding a win against this team. But just, like I said, on the balance of things, from the football that we'd seen, from the players that we had available as well for that game, I honestly believe that we had a great opportunity to take 3 points there, man. You know what I mean? I thought we could have taken 3 points, but unfortunately we didn't. Man.
Yeah, I'm with you as well, because like we've been talking about making big statements, making big scalps. We didn't get that from either game. And I'm with you where I'm more annoyed about the fact that we didn't take points from United and Arsenal. And with Arsenal, it comes down to more the results than the performance, and just some of the lapses of concentration that I saw defensively at times. Like there was a big period after the first goal where I thought we were going to concede again. We kind of got let out of jail with the Havertz offside goal because that was another lapse of concentration from us. How nobody was awake for that free kick is ridiculous. But I look at it and like I do still think we're improving a little bit defensively. I just think there's some personnel questions that I feel like need to be asked because people are now doing the whole Cole Palmer can't turn up in big games narrative, which I think is a load of bollocks personally. But I've noticed we're playing him on the left-hand side a lot more frequently now and don't look that comfortable there. And it's like we're doing it to accommodate Gusto playing a little bit further forward when we're in possession. And even he don't look confident there. So is it something that we're persisting with because we see something working in training and we want to keep it working from that? Or I don't get it, but we've got our best player who's got his first bad patch of his Chelsea career. And it looks more like a positional problem for me than an actual individual issue. That and the fact that he didn't train throughout the whole week and we still played him in a full 90-minute game. But we're going to touch on that in a little sec. But thoughts on the whole Cole Palmer left-hand side situation over the last 3 weeks? You're on mute, bro.
No, I mean, I obviously want to agree with you on the fact that we also have to remember that Cole wasn't fit. Like, ideally, I think if he was, against the Southampton or a team like that, we probably wouldn't have even seen Cole Palmer play because, one thing, and this is actually more of a testament to the manager. One of the very positive things is I like how he's dealt with injuries with players.
Yeah.
He's recognized which players have had injury issues in the past, and he's managed their minutes very well. My concerns and everyone's concerns about Pedro Neto coming in was, well, his injury record at Wolves has been horrible. How are we going to sustain him at Chelsea Football Club with the injuries that we've had? But so far, so good. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to jinx it, but so far, so good. But anyway, getting that out of the way. With the Cole Palmer situation, listen, when you have generational talent, and I believe that Cole Palmer is, regardless of his current form right now. When you have generational talent, sometimes it works when you play them out of position because they're just that good, and the team can afford to facilitate that. I think Cole Palmer is good enough to play across that front line, obviously outside the striker role, or unless you even do a false nine. I do think he's good enough. I just think what's letting down both Cole Palmer and the manager when it comes to, rotating him in positions is personnel. That's the thing. So I think really with Maresca, you shouldn't at this point in time when you don't necessarily have everything to your disposal to, perhaps adopt a style that you want to play down to a T. You got to keep your best players in their best position where they're most effective. So all this chopping and changing around for Cole Palmer right now, I wouldn't necessarily do it. I wouldn't be thinking of doing it. He needs to put Cole Palmer in his best position, and depending on how you feel, Lewis, and other fans feel, some will say number 10 is his best role. Some will say he's best coming in off the right. So
I think he could do either just off the right hand side. It's just the last 3 games I've noticed we're playing him more on the left. And I heard Newcastle, we did that because we were trying to get him away from Bruno Guimaraes, who was marking him on the right-hand side. But as much as I think he had a good game against Newcastle, United, he was very ineffective, not poor. It was just all he was really doing was getting involved in build-up play and progressing the ball. There wasn't really the full impact that we see in the final third, usually from Palmer in that role. And then we go and we bring it again to the Arsenal game. And even then, we played in the full 90. We speak about the whole injury issues and everything, and we've handled injuries sensationally this season. I'm surprised he lasted that long. Even though you could tell he was gassed throughout the game, you could tell that he wasn't really getting involved in the second half. First off, he was actually making a couple chances. There was a good opportunity, which was unluckily didn't go to Jackson. It went to Noni, but he was getting involved a little bit more. Second half, he should have come off. That was a bit more of a surprise to me, but it seems like we're persisting with him on the left-hand side, which I'm kind of struggling to understand. Kind of struggling to get that.
Yeah. But then also again, like just bring it back down to personnel as well. On that left hand side, when you look at our options, I mean, we've seen Neto play there a few times, but for me, in my opinion, he's best off that right hand side, cutting in on his left foot, or even having the freedom to cut in or drift in the middle, like how we saw him score the goal against Arsenal. So I personally prefer him off the right, if he's gonna play. So there's that. But outside of Neto, Mudryk, has he really shown that he can be trusted to hold down that position? Has he really come into a decent run of form since he's been here? No, that's the unfortunate truth.
Hasn't been tested properly yet. Like the best test he's had is like Newcastle in the cup, and I still think he was our best forward in that game, but not really enough of a barometer to go with. And even then, he came off the bench against Arsenal, and he wasn't effective at all.
Exactly. And then you got Jadon Sancho. He's been injured. There's nothing really we can do about that. So what do we persist with? I know many of you would probably, and myself included, I would prefer to see Cole Palmer off that right. I think he's a lot more effective coming in off that right wing.
If anything, I think Cucurella would be better inverting than Augusto, for example.
I think that too. I think that too. I honestly, what lets down Gusto massively, it's what he does in the final third, whether it's an overhit cross, an overhit pass, and he's just incredible.
He's always trying to shoot as well.
He has this incredible talent of just not being able to score. That's what really, really frustrates me. And if you're gonna have like a fullback that inverts, you're gonna want to have somebody who is competent in front of goal. Like, how many opportunities have we seen Gusto gets himself into brilliant positions, by the way? But if Reece James is in those positions, we can say with our eyes closed, it's a goal. We've got to score it, So this role does not suit Malo Gusto. It doesn't. He's got no potency going forward. Well, in the final third, anyway, I'll say.
For me, like I've been calling it like information overload with him over the last few weeks, because he's got to play on the touchline at times, and then he's playing within the inverted role when we're in possession, and then as soon as we lose the ball, he's got to get himself straight back to the right hand side to try and stop a counter attack, and it just feels like it's a little bit too much for him to deal with. Like, his role was a lot more simpler last season. It was just really just stay on the touchline, and if anything, there was barely any tactics involved with it in the first place. Yeah. Now it's just a case of, if anything, like, we're also just playing him a little bit too much. Like, Reece James is now fit. He's playing 90-minute games and everything. Like, for me, I get on the left-hand side, he's not really using as much. He's not covering as much distance, for example. It's more just about dictating play and spreading passes left and right. He could be able to play on the right-hand side for like 60 minutes, though. Take him off and then put Gusto on against fresh legs. I'd like to think that could work.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, but it could also go back to what we're saying. What I was saying before is Maresca doing this as precautionary measures for Reece James, sacrificing for the short term, but have him for somewhat the long term? Because again, like, we have to be real with ourselves, Lewis, and people in the chat. As much as we love Reece James, and on his day, he's definitely the best right back in the world, he's not reliable in terms of availability. And I don't think this is any different to how he has dealt with other injuries, because I felt a frustration when Lavia wasn't playing 90 minutes, but I understood you're taking precautions to steadily get him, number one, the match fitness, and number two, you're ensuring that he's not putting too much pressure on his injury. Could be the same thing. The Manchester United game, I kind of understood why Reece didn't start, although I wish he could have. But it might be that the manager must have felt that if he starts this game, it could be a long day in the office for him in terms of the distance that he's going to be collected in terms of those wingers that keep bombing up and down, because that's going to be a job.
Bigger pitch as well. I hear it.
Yeah, so he must have thought that it might be a little bit too much running and a bit too much strain for Reece James right now. So I'd rather Gusto do that job as playing as right back. And then again, like just going back to what you're saying with the inversion with Gusto is if Cucurella is fit, we know he's not going to invert Gusto. We know that Cucurella is the first choice for that role. 100% is almost like the prototype for Chelsea, because it was last season where we really saw him start to shine in that inverted role, Cucurella.
Yeah. Last season was when we first started seeing it within the first 5 games, and then we kept bringing that into this season as well. I've seen guys in the chat as well saying like Cucurella ain't really great in the final third either, but I think his decision making is a bit better.
It's better.
Like
Yeah,
Cucurella
exactly.
isn't very shot heavy like Augusto, for example. He's going to look for the pass, he's going to look for options or play the safer bet. So like that's why for me, if you're asking me which side I'd rather invert with, for me it's the left. It's the left by a mile. Like even with Reece James, I remember preseason he kind of struggled with the inverted role a little bit himself. So it might be a bit better to see him play at right centre back. But
I think it suits Cucurella as well, and he's really the best at doing the role as well. Because another thing that he adds to that is Cucurella, when it comes to the press or the press being initiated, he's great at it. He's great at winning the ball up high as well and transitioning the ball up top. So he's actually got value for that, you know.
Definitely. I wanted to bring this quote up quickly. EPL Turf brought this from Cole Palmer. So he said, under Maresca, Palmer's moved into a new 10 role. Says he's working on adjusting his game accordingly. Different types of turns. Mainly, it's not even stuff on the ball, like off the ball, trying to find more space. So it seems like it's something that we might see him more. We might see him in that role more over the next few weeks. And maybe against like easier opposition, I would say, with all due respect. Like you might see him be a little bit better in that sort of role, because it kind of is a baptism by fire with the last 3 fixtures that we've had in general. But fair enough. It seems like it's something that we're going to see stick with. So we just have to hope it works within the next few weeks. I'm not trying to write Palmer off with that this early, especially like I don't want to write Palmer off in general, because I feel like people are using what is his first bad patch for Chelsea, which kind of even says a lot even with that, to say that we've overrated him too early. All this best in the league shout, or one of the best in the league, is a little bit too early. And I think it's just been a bad run of form while he's adjusting to a new role. That's something that you either take time with, or you just put him back where he's at his best. It's one or the other.
It's also as well, Lewis. It's the time that we live in, bro. 2024. I've peeped it, fam. This is what happens is, you've got a player that's got some promising talent. He's got a great run of games. And then he'll have 1 game, 2 games. All of a sudden, he's overrated. He was never as good as what everybody says he was. Blah blah blah. There's no period of it's just bad form.
You're not allowed to drop off, innit?
You're absolutely not. And in some extreme cases, all it takes is about 3 or 4 bad touches in a game. Someone will clip it up, and they'll be like, "You see." This is the guy that you said was going to be this player or whatever. So these things are normal. They done it to everybody. They still do it about Eden Hazard to this day. Do you know what I mean? They still go on about, oh, he went a season without doing this. Like what? But then
his GA isn't good enough.
Everything else that he's done before and after that, all of a sudden just gets rubbed out, does it? Is that what we're doing here, bro? This is what I mean. So sometimes you just got to take certain things with a pinch of salt, bruv. It's just the way this generation's going. It just feels like instant gratification. If they ain't doing it right now, they're never going to do it ever.
That feels like the perfect way to judge this generation, isn't it? Like everything is instant, everything's quick, everything's like low attention span or very quick attention span. So you're only looking at what's in front of you. And right now they're looking at Palmer and they're saying, oh, this is the guy that you're saying is your best player, best in the league and all of that.
So you're not allowed the gray area. You're not allowed the period where, because listen, and you have to even look just outside of the scope of football, man. Just look at life, just even anything that you're good at. You never ever maintain the same form of what you're good at. Like it's never a linear trajectory. Like some days
You
you
look
might,
at the players, the best in the league now. Haaland's
yeah,
had bad patches.
yeah,
Salah,
exactly.
Saka, all these guys.
Exactly. So it's this is part of human nature. And what's not helped as well, Lewis, is the fact that we've had players two players in the same generation, essentially, that are Cristiano Ronaldo and Leo Messi, who have made the impossible look very normal and look like that should be an expectation for every single professional player. No, it's a fallacy. Those two guys, the term generational means that you will not find players of this level for maybe 2 decades or 3 decades. That's what we're talking about. That's the level we're talking about here. But we've been spoiled to be able to see two of them at the same time. And I think that skewed people's reality and expectations when it comes to football.
Yeah, and that's why everyone's like, football's declining now and everything. When in reality, it's just like we've lost the Messis, we've lost the Ronaldos. Neymar is basically gone, and Hazard's retired, and all of this. Now it looks like it's more in a down period, but I mean, now I think about it, it's just kind of normalized itself a little bit more. That's it. Well, we're in a period where we've got to wait for the next big superstar and everything. And when you start talking about people being the best in any sort of league, you're kind of putting them up to those sorts of levels. And we know Palmer ain't there yet, but I also don't think it's fair to completely flip-flop on what was looking like a completely agreeable narrative a month ago, where people were saying Palmer's the best in the league, or he's one of the best in the league, or he's within the conversation. To now, no, he doesn't deserve to even be in those conversations, all over a 3 to 4 game run, which I don't understand. I don't understand at all. And even then, I think he still won a man of the match against Newcastle. Goal and a brilliant pre-assist for the first goal. So it's not like he's been completely stinky in the entire run-in, but here we are. I only think he's had one bad game, and it was Liverpool.
And you know what, Lewis? Ultimately, it's down to the player to prove all the doubters wrong. And that's what it comes down to. And it comes down to how confident you are that the player will prove doubters wrong. And with Cole Palmer, I'm all in on the player. My stocks are very high for Cole Palmer. I know that, you know, as well as this team improves, as we add to priority positions, we're just going to see him get better and better. That's just going to be the result of it. So I've got no worries about Cole.
Same. You and me both. A big up to Joshua saying, big up lads. Funny seeing other fans hate on you for despising Havertz. When me as a Spurs fan witnessed Sol Campbell leaving and won a title, I hate him. Brother, I don't get how we've got to this point in society where we've got rival fans trying to police other fans on football tribalism and opinions on a player who left us in 12th and then had the nerve to try and shush Chelsea fans. All for an offside goal. Like, all the criticism, all the hate that he's now receiving, it's your own fault. It's your own fault. You got to hold that, innit?
No, I agree. I agree. You know, he knew exactly what he was doing when he done that celebration. And we all know Kai Havertz is a bit of a shithouse. He does have that little bit in him. So it's not yeah, exactly. So it's of no surprise to me. And we've also, and listen, let's be real. I am not Kai Havertz's biggest fan. I was happy to see the back of him. But we also have to be honest as well, is our fan base did give him a lot of stick, a lot of stick. So I kind of get it if he's got a bit of vengeance in his heart, but it's still an F.
I'd say online, but not the match-going fans. The match-going fans were they were scapegoating like Pulisic, Ziyech, Aubameyang, Jorginho. Havertz and Mount were the ones getting the whole one of the UCL and all of that.
But I mean, listen, forget Kai Havertz. Nobody should tell you how you should support your team or how you feel about another team or ex-player. Nobody should tell you. Like, you know, just go on about your business. If you don't agree, you don't agree.
Facts. Man are doing the whole policing narrative, and it's just fucking dead. But big up to you, Josh, for the super chat. Bless up, bro. Big up to Alu as well. Sanchez gotta go. We've seen enough. Yeah. Like it was 2 match days in a row where I said if we were going to concede a goal, it would come down to a Robert Sanchez howler. And I've seen this stat drop today, which I didn't even need personally, but
Yep.
it's just like the icing on the cake. No players committed more errors leading to a goal than Sanchez in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. Again, I didn't even need this stat. This is just confirmation of everything that we kind of already knew. This guy's becoming a serious problem. And I thought like he'd actually turned the corner at the start of the season. There were some really good performances.
No.
No.
I question this guy ever since he walked through the door at Chelsea Football Club. And I instantly knew if this guy's going to be our number one goalkeeper, we can forget about even thinking about challenging for any major trophies until he is out of the door. He's nowhere near good enough. Nowhere near good enough. Untrustworthy. Imagine now, Lewis. Let me show you something, and let me give you people in the chat a perspective. I know a lot of you are like me when you watch Sanchez receive the ball. Every single person has their heart in their mouth. They're nervous that a mistake is coming. Now, if we're feeling that watching that on the TV, how do you think his defenders feel when his midfielders feel? That's a big problem. And one thing that you need, right? And this goes from grassroots football all the way up to professional football. If your defenders do not trust your goalkeeper, you are banging trouble that season. You are banging trouble that season. And why that is because it's a residual effect. You don't trust that goalkeeper. There's decisions that you're going to be making that you wouldn't necessarily make if you had a keeper behind you that you do trust. So you're opening yourself up for mistakes, which is what we've been seeing on several occasions. Now, granted, some are self-inflicted, but some are mistakes that were caused by pressure on us. And more times out of 10, it's coming either from the goalkeeper or it's coming from one of the centre backs. That can't keep going on. You can't. And you know, we come from a history of every successful team that we have had an elite goalkeeper. And that's not by accident. You can never ever compromise on your goalkeeper if you want to be ambitious for anything. That's one position that you do not compromise. There's a world-class keeper that's out there, but you got to pay over the odds for him. So be it. You got to do it. But this guy Sanchez is definitely not the answer. He's got to go. He's shown on more than one occasion that he is not trustworthy. I don't think he trusts himself. I think he's got a lot of self-doubt with the mistakes that he's made. I think the pressure for him is a bit much at Chelsea Football Club. And I don't see how he's going to get over this. So I just think we should just cut our losses.
Yeah, I'm with you because for me, it's a new season, isn't it? It's your second season. You've been given a fresh start and you've been given the vote of confidence by the manager all season. And yet it's not accounting to anything. It's genuinely not accounting to anything. Like, I look at him as an individual. He will get the ball, no movement, calmness, straight to an opposition player immediately. Long passes, short passes, every single one of them. It's like you said, a heart and mouth moment. People will know. I'm on stream screaming, blue shirt, pass to a blue shirt. No, misses it. And this is kind of like one of my very few gripes with Maresca. Because I've seen ruthlessness. I've seen Enzo have bad performances get put on the bench. You're told you're untouchable. Mudryk, bad performances, you've been put on the bench, shown that you're untouchable. Robert Sanchez keeps getting away with it. And everyone knows my saying, the further back you go, the less you're afforded mistakes on the pitch. And when you're at goal, nearly every mistake that you make could be leading to a goal or could be leading to a big chance. Yet we're still persisting with him. Like, for one game, can we not try Jorgensen? One game. And if he's trash, I hear it. At least we tried it. At least we showed to Sanchez as well, you're not untouchable. But he just keeps playing. And now I look at both goals we conceded against United and Arsenal. I think he plays a part in the pair of them.
Avoidable. And this is what I mean, avoidable. And what happened last season at Stamford Bridge against Arsenal?
Mm-hmm.
Who cost us the 2 points? Why was it 2 points dropped? Same guy. The same guy. Unprovoked, unforced errors as well. This guy was doing. You know what I mean? But yeah, we're in a bad situation in terms of that, because now I'm taking the blame away from Sanchez, and we've got to move on to recruitment now. I think Maresca is aware that this goal is not good enough, but he's in a situation where he's got no choice but to defend him because he's the only goalkeeper that is capable of consistently being in the sticks at Chelsea Football Club. Because I'll be real with you, I do not think Maresca rates Yorkson yet, or he doesn't think he's ready yet. I don't know if the club think he's ready. Which brings it back to recruitment. What were we doing? What were we doing? We saw
I feel like though it's the only thing that makes sense though. That's the only thing that makes sense is maybe he doesn't rate Jorgensen, but for me it's like, what, and you rate Sanchez?
It is, but then Lewis, let's be fair. If we found ourselves in that situation, right? Because I personally do not rate Jorgensen, and I think that not too much will change. I don't think much will change with him in between the sticks. So what do? You're stuck in between a rock and a hard place. There's nothing.
For me, it's like, I just want to see it in practice, because all I know is that with La Liga, I think he had the most shots saved in La Liga last season, or some similar stat to that. So find it hard to believe that he wouldn't be a great shot stopper. In terms of the passing, he looks composed when he's on the ball. Yeah. I've seen like one bad pass in his entire time at Chelsea, and like that's about it. Is he really that bad that he can't get given a game, especially with the run of matches that we have coming up?
No, I honestly think, in a nutshell, what it is when you've got a choice between a poo and a turd, you're still going to get a shit result. And I think that's where we're at. We're choosing between a piece of poo and a piece of turd, and that's what it is. So
did
really,
you just make that up?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I just made it up on the fly. Just made it up on the fly. So it's a case of that. It's what do? You just got to try and select the lesser evils. But I get it. It's about time that we give Jorgensen a run of games, because there are certain mistakes that can't keep going unpunished, because now it begins to send a wider message out to the squad. The squad might be looking at it as well. This guy's making, so many mistakes, but his position's not under threat. What's going on here? So Maresca does have to act before it could, those questions start to rear its head in the dressing room.
Yeah, like to be honest, with the games that we have coming up, if he drops a clanger against Leicester or something, I'm going to be screaming Jorgensen to start next match, just to put a statement out there. But we're here. I guess this guy is going to be playing until at least January, and then maybe we go and get goalkeeper number 11 in or something. Who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? Ibrahim says, speak on Madueke. Kind of needs to hold bench when Sancho comes back. Put Neto on the right-hand side. Now, I've seen an argument that his form's dropped since Palmer's been moved onto the left-hand side, which I feel like I could kind of hear, but I don't remember him being that effective against Liverpool either. And Palmer was still mainly playing on the right-hand side in that game too.
Yep.
It's a bit of a grey area, because Forrest, I didn't think he had a bad game. Like, I thought first half, he was probably one of our best threats. Second half, he managed to bag a goal against a low block. Since then, it's been a bit iffy, but I don't know. What's your thoughts been on Noni? And, like, do you think Palmer playing on the left has anything to do with it? Or do you just think it's a Noni issue in itself? Because there's been times where I think his end product's been poor too.
I don't think Palmer is the cause of his form. I think that's a bit of a cop out. I think Noni is his own worst enemy from more than one perspective. I mean, on the pitch, sometimes he just goes missing. His decisions in the final third just are horrific. He wants to be selfish. He doesn't want to include his teammates and stuff. Then there's other days where he's just got his head switched on and he plays decent football. I'm of the opinion with Noni, me myself personally, is I would like to see this guy get sold while his stocks are higher than what we bought him for. Because we got him for like 37.5 million. Surely we can get 40 million, 42 million for him if we decide to sell him. Maybe even 50 million for him if there's a team out there that believes in him. That's how I see it, because we got Esteval coming in, and the club have kind of made it known that he will be very much involved in the first team. So where does that leave Noni? But, that's the future. We'll address now. There's been questions about his mentality as well. I don't know how much of that is true. None of us know the player personally, but there have been some red flag signs. You know, him storming down the tunnel the other day was not a good sign.
I will say I think that one was blown heavily out of proportion because I was at the game. Yeah, I was at the game in it. So like 5-10 minutes after, the man just popped back up on the bench. Like I don't know if he went for a check. Could have gone for a shit for all we know. I don't know. Maybe he went to pick up his phone or something. But like people acted like he stormed down the tunnel furiously and something.
That's what I thought happened. That's what I thought happened. I thought
because the media started reporting it like that. But it was like, yo, these men are shameless. He was gone for like 5, maybe 10 minutes at most, and then he was back. Oh, he didn't look angry.
Okay, you see that bit I didn't know, so I appreciate you letting me know that. But either way, he's got to find some kind of consistency. You see flashes of brilliance from Noni, but like he's got to build on that. And I don't know. I just don't see him being able to fulfill his full potential here at Chelsea. I don't think it's a conducive environment for him to do so. I just don't.
But for me, I'm not sure if he can't reach the full potential, but I think like there's just too many things in the way for him.
Yeah.
Like you got the likes of Neto who's starting to outperform, who's already outperforming him. And if Sancho comes back, I think Neto's going to be the one that gets moved on to the right. Then next season, we've got Esteval coming in. Potentially Kendry Pies joining the year after his time at Strasbourg. Like, I think it's genuinely a ticking time bomb with Noni in terms of when do we end up getting rid of him. But even then, like, I don't think it's a question on where his level could be in the next couple years or so. I just think for now, you got a ride bench. You kind of got a ride bench.
Yeah, he does. He does. I think a message does need to be sent to him as well. You know, you're not.
It's an EPL turf. It just didn't suit the narrative, bro. Like all the stuff we're talking about, his ability and his level, completely agree because we're talking football on that. But I always say Noni is one of the most over-analyzed people in our club in terms of the stuff that happens away from the football and away from the pitch. These men will look at every little thing that he does and start over-analyzing it and criticizing it and trying to make some narrative that he's got like a bad attitude or something. No, we've seen this narrative before. That's why none of those media outlets wanted to say that he was back after 5-10 minutes. No, he stormed down the tunnel and he wasn't there for Neto's equalizer. I think we just equalized. We probably equalized very soon after those subs. I think it was only a couple minutes after anyway. So it kind of just fit the narrative, innit? Kind of fit the narrative.
Yeah.
I said talk about Nkunku. Yeah, Nkunku has links to Manchester United. Apparently, they've inquired about a potential transfer, according to L'Equipe, and is also questioning his future at Chelsea, allegedly.
I'll tell you straight. That's not fake news. I said it.
I didn't think so either.
I said it last season as well. I said, whose stream was it? It might have been Dan Potts. I said, this is probably going to be Nkunku's last season at Chelsea Football Club. And I said, the main club that we should be looking out for in terms of this transfer is Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich do have interest in Christopher Nkunku. But let's see. Manchester United, new manager with Amorim. Maybe things can change. But personally, I have my own reasons, and I'm sure many of you know why I would like to see him go to Bayern Munich, because my son still hasn't signed his contract. I like that. Yes. So I'm praying that move. But there is actually interest from Bayern Munich. So let's see. And also let's see if Musiala actually does put pen to paper. We have heard that he wants to, or it's looking likely that he will. But until it's done, you never know, innit? You never know. But I think that could be potential good business there.
Yeah, like for me, I'm looking at it, and there's a lot of 10 options for us. So you have Nkunku, you have Felix, Dewsbury Hall's also there, who's just big up to him in it, but he's starting to look like one of the most pointless transfers we made by the week. Something has to give within that role. And Nkunku just, I don't think he gets a lot of trust in general, because one of the things that's confused me the most with him, it's the time that we sub him on in games. We bring him on with like 10, 15 minutes left to go in a game, if that. I saw that the last time we brought him on, before the 70th minute was West Ham away when we were already 3-0 up and the game was basically done.
Yeah.
Now, against Arsenal, we brought him on in 88 minutes, and it wasn't even for Palmer, who was still recovering from his injury at that time. He doesn't look like he's getting a lot of trust. And now we play him in the number 9 role when we're in the Conference League, and you don't even really get involved in the game that much in those sorts of matches. So, yeah, I don't think there's a lot of faith in him. And also it don't seem like a right match right now. It doesn't seem like the right match for him.
Nkunku, yeah, I agree with you. I think Nkunku is a casualty of bad recruitment, because we have to remember as well, wasn't Nkunku agreed before this new ownership came in? I believe he was.
I think he was a Vivell transfer.
Oh, it was a Vivell. Okay, cool. And
I think so. Still, chat, you can let me know if I'm wrong. I can't remember.
Even if Vivell's not here anymore, do you know what I mean? So that just further magnifies the point. Is I just think Chelsea don't know how to use him. They've just not found his most effective position. We all know that, you know, at Leverkusen, not Leverkusen, Leipzig. Sorry, I can't talk today. At Leipzig, he was a goal machine, but people forget that he didn't play by himself up top. He had, I think it was Poulsen or someone else that was playing alongside him. And Nkunku's the second striker. He's much better working with another striker. We just don't play like that. The best that we saw in Nkunku, unfortunately for us, was during what's that word now? During the time where it didn't matter. It was during last season's preseason when him and Madueke were linking up before the season started, and we thought, okay, cool, we've got a player here. But we've just never seen it again. But then we're not playing like that, you know. So it's not really to his advantage. So where does it leave him?
I think right now it's just leaving him in the Conference League. That's just it. And yeah, I think it's probably going to be him who ends up making the move. And it's not like any issue with him. It's just not the right match. And for someone of his level, shouldn't be on a B team. In all honesty, he should be starting somewhere, but it's not here, and it's because ultimately we have Jackson who offers more in the number 9 role, and Palmer is Palmer in the 10, and those are his best positions. I don't think he's great on the wing, and half the time we bring him on late, we're trying to play him on the wing, and he don't look comfortable there at all. So it is what it is with Nkunku. Just don't sell him to United. Allow it. I can't be asked with him going to a rival.
I don't think that would be the likely move. I highly doubt that.
Yeah, I think we'll aim to sell abroad, but it's just we've seen before we're willing to sell to rivals if they produce the right amount. Mount, Havertz, Gallagher had the Aston Villa links, so it didn't end up going through. Sterling's gone to Arsenal, innit? So we are willing to sell to rivals if they produce the right amount of money.
Yeah.
So I hope it ain't them. So what's this thing? FIFA's looking to create a new system called Football Video Support, would let coaches challenge any refereeing decisions they believe are incorrect. That would be a game changer, because these men already have the iPads out looking at match replays, trying to find old decisions and everything. So that would actually be a game. It's like a secondary VAR thing from the sounds of it. I ain't got no problems with that. I ain't got no problem with it.
The only problems that I have is just that this is just something else that's just going to slow down the game. But you know,
even then,
it's a great idea. Look, don't get me wrong. I think it's a fantastic idea. I really do. I just don't want to see the game slow down anymore. Like VAR comes and there's this period of uncertainty, and then
No, but that's because we got some rusty old VAR. Like, how long is it going to take for this league to bring semi-automated offside technology? These men were meant to bring it in within the first international break, and now they've moved it to January. And I will bet money that these men will move it to next season as well, because they like it slowing down the game. They like more controversy, and semi-automated offsides is too good. It will just cut everything out within seconds. It's just, offside, done. That's it.
No, yeah, exactly, man. But yeah, it's frustrating. It's all of this is frustrating. So, but let's see. It's a great idea, but I'm tired of the breaks. It's feeling more and more it feels like in about 20 years when I got my grandkids and that, it's going to feel like I'm watching an NFL game. What's next? We're going to be playing quarters.
I haven't even watched an NFL game to try and understand that one. But what quarter? So 3 breaks then? Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Fuck
No,
that.
I'm not trying to do all of that, man.
Man said, talk about Felix. Apparently he's getting frustrated. I did see like he tore his sock ties off in a show of frustration after Maresca's introduction of Nkunku for Jackson, knowing that he wouldn't get on. Here's my thing. Felix joined knowing he weren't going to be no starter and he'd have to earn his way into the team. Now, I don't think he's done that. I think he's been very frustrating when I've seen him starting games for us. Like, I guess Noah was his best game. Even then, that game frustrated me a little bit. But I mean, well, like the 8-0 against Noah. Like they've got 3 players working in a Burger King, respectfully to everyone who does any sort of job. But really, like, were we really going to flex this? Like, no, you're sitting on the bench for a reason, innit? I didn't forget the Newcastle away performance either. I thought you were the worst player on the pitch out of everybody, which says a lot. So be frustrated, innit? Like, you're on the B team for a reason. And Nkunku, I actually would like to see maybe get given an earlier start or something. But Felix, nah, I ain't seen enough.
I didn't want him in the first place. I'll be honest with you. I thought 55 million was just the club saw it as an opportunistic signing to get him on low wages. Now, had the situation been we've got a very solid first 11 that's competing on all fronts, then you can add him, and then you can argue, well, he's not going to play week in, week out, but it's quality and depth. You could say that, but we're not really in the position to be able to do that now. Joao Felix, for me, was a pointless signing. We should have never signed him. There were other priority signings that needed to be addressed. We're already suffering now because we didn't address them. And the ironic thing is we are not suffering if Joao Felix is not playing. But we are suffering because Sanchez is playing. We failed to replace that. We are suffering at centre-back position sometimes because of personnel reasons. You know what I mean? In terms of quality. These are things that we didn't address. Joao Felix, yeah, for me, he's like a flash in the pan. He'll do something once that is just, master stroke, just looks great on the eye. And then the next 5, 6, 7, 8 decisions that he makes will just piss me off.
Yeah, and again, elements of selfishness in his game.
Yeah.
Like, he's just trying to do everything himself.
And I understand why it's taken him so long to find a club that will keep him, but we unfortunately became the ones to give him the permanent offer. You went from Benfica. Granted, you made a horrible move going to Atletico Madrid. Didn't suit your style of football. Then you've got a chance for redemption. You go to Barcelona. They don't keep you. The Atletico lower your price. Chelsea comes in. Here we are. Not good business for me, because now it's already shown. How are we going to sell this player when he was basically available for bargain basement wages, and still we are the only club that went for him? How are we going to get rid of him?
For me, like, I don't even necessarily want to get rid of him. It's just where you are is fine for me. Your depth. And like, until you show me any reason to be otherwise, it's fine. We've got a techie player as depth who might end up becoming a little bit more effective in the future. But for now, don't really need to be more than that. Like, if he's frustrated that he didn't come on against Arsenal, I understand it, but tough shit, innit? It is what it is. Facts. It is what it is. A man said you're making excuses for Maresca and he has terrible in-game management. I was going to ask you your thoughts on Maresca's start to life at Chelsea, but I was going to touch on this as well anyway, because I feel like in terms of his substitutions, he knows when something isn't working in the first half, and he'll make halftime changes if needed. I've seen it happen enough times. But from that point, then I can kind of agree. There are some times the substitutions are too late. But even then, man brought on Enzo when we conceded. Enzo came on, had instant impact, and he got the assist. So it's not like it's terrible in-game management. I think at times it's been questionable. Some substitutions have been way too late. Some decisions have been way too late.
Yeah.
sometimes he's made the right decisions and it's had impact. So yeah, like I think terrible is just the wrong word to describe it, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, there's definitely been certain times when you're watching a game and you're like, make a personnel change or make a tactical change. We're all seeing this, but it's nowhere near as bad as what we saw last season. That doesn't make it okay, people. No, it doesn't make it okay. Where there's room for improvement, we should always strive for improvement. That's just everywhere in life, you know what I mean? But yeah, some of his in-game decisions in the second half, there are times where you perhaps thought, you know, had he had made this call a little bit earlier, or had he had made this call at all, could we have perhaps salvaged the point or perhaps taken away the 3 points, you know, and it's frustrating when you have to leave a game with those feelings. So he does, you know, substitution sometimes. It's just I don't understand why you've made that substitution. You know, we might be chasing the game and you're bringing on a player that's not necessarily going to impact us in getting a goal and vice versa. It's just those decisions that I can't really get my head around. But he's going to have to start getting it right. And another thing as well, and I'm very much guilty of this too, we have to remember that this guy he's been here since what? August?
Yeah, July, August.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say August, September, October, November, 4 months he's been here. So, you know, the penny should have dropped by now, in my honest opinion. But I still think he's within that time, within that grace-ish period.
Yeah, I've also said as well, like, he is an inexperienced manager. So I am allowing him or giving him a bit more leeway in terms of, okay, you've made mistakes here. I want to see if you can learn from it and like improve from those sorts of decisions. Like, it's not like a Pochettino thing because he was a manager for over a decade. This is like his second managerial role in England and the first time he's managed at the top level. There are some questionable moments. There are times like Liverpool away, for example, and Nkunku we didn't bring him on to like 76 minutes, and then we brought him on to play on the left instead of playing him centrally. Could have moved Palmer to the right, could have just taken Palmer off with the game that he was having. But there's also times where, look how many times where we've gone into halftime and then scored immediately into the second half. Yeah. And then he's come out and said it's because we tire the opposition out physically and mentally. And then we assess what zones they're struggling in and we attack them in the second half. And then that's part of the reason why we've scored so quickly into games. So it's not terrible. It's questionable. And with a manager of his level of experience, that is enough for me to say it's not good enough, but I'll give you time. Like, this is better than any shit that I've seen over the last 2 years. And if this is what you're showing me now, I would assume that things should be better and the decisions should be better as things continue to improve. Yeah. That's it. It's just some criticism. Deserved criticism, and that's about it.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, so like, I don't think it's anything past time. I said Chukwuemeka to Ipswich. When did this happen?
I saw the stories on Twitter. I don't know how true that is, but
I mean, I'm not even shocked.
One thing's for certain. Big up Fraser as well, though. That's my guy. One thing's for certain is that Chukwuemeka has been slapped in the face by this club big time. I don't know what's happened where he's just not getting he's not getting any sniffing whatsoever. And then I think the icing on the cake was, if I was him, the icing on the cake would have been, you've signed Kevin Dewsbury Hall or Kiernan Dewsbury Hall into this team, and yet he's seeing more minutes than I am. Sayonara, mate. See you later. It's over. I'm out. That's a big slap in the face, because I don't care what anybody tells me. The level of talent between those two is absolutely night and day. I think Chuks has a way bigger ceiling and is the better player currently than what KDH is.
I hear it. Like, I think both of them might be going, though. There's been rumors about like Chelsea already looking to part ways with Dewsbury Hall and Villa looking to strike a loan move. So I don't know if both of them will end up leaving. One of them definitely will have to, just based off the amount of midfield options that we have anyway. But I do feel bad for him. With the way the whole Chelsea situation has panned out for him, because last season he could have had minutes, got that awful injury with the start of the season. And I think he got another injury within the second half as well, which just completely ruined his opportunities. Then Poch was just barely playing him. It's just worked out terribly for him. This guy barely gets minutes in the Conference League now. And I'm thinking, if you can't even give him minutes in that.
No, it's clearly there's clearly something beneath the surface that none of us are seeing. I think there's been
it's a wage thing?
I don't even know if it's that. My inkling, obviously people take it as you will, all conjecture. But my inkling is I think some kind of talks have transpired between the agent and his club, and it didn't transpire in a very positive light. And I think it's also affected his minutes, because honestly, Lewis, why else? How many opportunities have we had to be able to see this guy play? I mean, we're even at times seeing youth players on the bench ahead of this guy, bro. And you see, when you're seeing things like that, you know, as a professional player, or even not as a professional player, you're on borrowed time. The sand timer is officially turned when that's happening.
Yeah, like we already tell where the situation is with him. It's just, I think it's trying to accept it at this point. It's annoying. Like, I want to see this guy get more opportunities. He ain't getting opportunities. And...
Wait, hold on. Carney is on 100K a week.
Yeah. That's what I was asking, if you think the wages play a part.
Is he trying to renegotiate a contract, or are you asking me because you feel like the club are just spending too much money on this guy for not a good enough reason?
That's what the theory is. The theory is like he's on too much wages for someone of his level or his spot in the pecking order.
But it's a plausible one, though. It's a very plausible one, 100%. I mean, look, you've got a player that's on 100K that doesn't see the light of day, bruv. You know what I mean? At that point, you're hemorrhaging money with that asset right there. You're not even using it. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, 100% he's got to go, and he'll probably work out better for both parties. He'll go and get his football. He'll probably still get a Premier League team, because I think there's still a lot of talent to be uncovered from the guy. So it could be a win-win situation. It just depends on the price tag we decide to put on this guy.
Yeah, like, I don't even know what we're looking for with him, because like, I don't think any price tag was said in this article. It says Chelsea are willing to sell
him on like a free or like next to nothing. This guy.
I'm trying to remember, how much did he go for? Chukwuemeka transfer.
Someone in the
I think
chat
it's like 20 mil. Yeah, 20 mil. 20 mil for
18. Okay, someone said 18 mil, 20 mil. All right, so 18 mil, 20 mil. You know what I mean? Potato, same thing. But again, surely we bought him at a price that is not, let's have it right, bruv. 18, 20 million in this day and age is basically what, £1 million was 15 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever. It's not really the top end scale of a transfer, is it? So it's affordable. I think it's just where he might have a stumbling block, unless he decides to lower his wages, is that clubs might not want to pay him anything close to what he's currently getting now.
I don't even think there's any negotiations in that sort of path. I just think he ain't high in the pecking order, and it looks like he's going to have to go to just get more minutes.
True.
That's it.
Yeah,
and it's a shame, but it is where we are with him, which is just very unfortunate all round. Just quickly as well, because I've seen a few people talking about in the chat, talking about our league position, and if Arsenal are in a title race, so are Chelsea and all of that. And I don't think we're in a title race whatsoever. I don't think we're going to have the consistency for that. And it was never our expectation in the first place. So I'm not going to start making that an expectation unless we play to that sort of level. But what I will say is, with the fixtures that we have coming up for the rest of the year, with Arsenal's form, even City's form, even though I do think City eventually are just going to wake up and then just start roiding out like they always do. You got a lazy eye on third place. You got a lazy eye on third, just out of interest.
Bro. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I'm still not entirely convinced by this squad to get top 4, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Very simple. Goalkeeper and that defense. Those are the only two things that concern me about this top 4 race, because I know down the line Sanchez is gonna cost us. I know down
He
the
already
line.
has.
Exactly. And I know down the line that centre back pairing is gonna give away mistakes too, purely from the nature of how we play, and the manager persisted on us playing from the back, regardless of us being error prone from the back. So that's my main concern. Unless Maresca does something about that drastically, or we address this situation in January, which is not most likely. You're not going to get your top targets in January, in mid-season, unless you're very lucky. But unless he does so, I think that's going to cost us top 4, which is a shame, because from the midfield up, we've got every great chance to do so. You know, we can outscore teams, but I don't want us to be in a position where we're relying on us outscoring teams to get to get top 4 or to get a trophy or whatever. We saw Brendan Rodgers have that situation with that Liverpool team. You know, your Suarez, your Gerrard, and all them, very close to winning the league. But how did they get to that position? They was just outscoring teams. Outscoring teams is not a sustainable way to be winning, and it cost them in the end. I don't want us to be that team. You know what I mean? So we've got to address that.
I hear it. I think for me, sorting out the centre backs, or even one of the centre backs or the goalkeeper, would be enough for me to genuinely start looking at third a little bit more. Because for me, with those issues, I think you can still get top 4. It's just I can hear you where it's not as cut and dry like that anymore. Because that's what's going to cost you points throughout the season, and then it's going to become like a question of, can your attack just save you enough times? Now, I've seen other guys in the chat saying we've got young centre backs and it is just an age thing. I don't think either of us are saying they're crap, but we're saying like error prone, bozo moments, lapses of concentration. They happen. They happen a lot. Fofana, I thought you're on mute, Guni. Fofana had a very good game against United. Bozo moment for the penalty.
Yeah. That for me, you know why I'm not even too angry? No, it was Arsenal for me. That was his best game, not Manchester United.
Yeah, Arsenal, he played better. Yeah.
That's the best game I've seen Wesley Fofana play in a Chelsea shirt since he's come back. 100%. There's no doubt about it. And a huge positive that I'll take from that is that Manchester United game. I thought he was very, very poor. I thought he was. I don't think he was. I don't think he was great in that game. But you know, to come back and perform like that against Arsenal at Stamford Bridge was a very positive thing for me. I just hope he can stay on this trajectory and the injuries don't set him back again, because that guy there, before the injuries, you could see he was undoubtedly going to be one of the best centre backs in the world, comfortably. So I hope he can rekindle that form, man.
I still have belief he can get back to that level. I just think it's going to take a lot of time, and whether we have that time or not is a question that only time's really going to answer in itself. But like, I do think that Fofana can definitely come back. It's just all the injuries, and whether he gets another injury is the biggest question mark with him. Colwill, it's another one where he's going to have his ups and downs. I didn't think he was great against Arsenal. Like, he was very, very shaky on the ball, especially in periods in the second half. The annoying thing is you're just going to have that with these centre-backs. And I understand riding it out. But if you're going to ride that out, I need a goalkeeper I can believe in. You put Sanchez next to that, suddenly it just becomes a big red flag. We talked about the Bermuda Triangle with Havertz and Mount and Gallagher back in the day. Now this one is another one, but it's further back, which means there's less room for error. And that goalkeeper, if we don't make top 4, it's going to be because of him. Not even the centre-backs for me. It's going to be because of him.
I don't disagree with you. His partner, Levi Colwill, for me, I think he's been thrown in a position where it's very much sink or swim. I'm a strong believer at this stage of Colwell's career. He should not be starting week in, week out for Chelsea. I still think there's a bit of development that he needs to do before he's ready to fully step into that position. And until then, we're going to continue to see naivety. There's things in his game that he desperately needs to rub out. You know, I love his tenacity. I love how he gets up in people's faces when, you know, when there's a bit of, do you know what I mean? When there's a bit of friction, I like that. But Levi also has to understand he needs some emotional control, because on more than one occasion, I've seen him overstep the line where he didn't need to, and he's getting himself booked, putting unnecessary pressure on himself, on our defense, and so on and so forth. He needs to learn.
He's trying to be the leader too much.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I gotta be the first in or some shit.
He needs to understand how to walk the line, because I love players like that, but you just have to know how to do it. Diego Costa is a perfect example. That guy was the absolute shithouse, but he knew how to walk the yellow card line perfectly. I'm not quite sure Levi Colwill knows how to do that. Sometimes the timings of his tackles can be a bit rash. Sometimes he loses concentration in terms of losing his marker in the box. We see it. How many times has he not looked over his shoulder, and we've had a player wide open right there, you know, ready to score? I think who was it that was offside for the Arsenal goal? Oh no, it was the Arsenal goal that
it was Colwill playing him onside.
Lavia did lose the ball. He has to take a piece of blame for that. But then after that, our defense was definitely caught napping. You should have your concentration when your ball is that, when the ball, regardless of if you're in possession or not, is that close to your goal, you can't switch off. You have to be aware of everything that's around you. The only time you can even drop a small piece of percentage in that situation is when you see your boys are on the break. That's the only time. But in that position, you have to keep your concentration on at all times. And I don't know whether that is also a maturity issue, because what we don't have is anymore is Thiago Silva, who was the senior guy who was kind of helping these guys out, helping them keep concentration in certain moments. We don't have that no more. We've got Wesley Fofana and we've got Colwill, who are two relatively young centre-backs who are still trying to find their feet, who are still experiencing new things within the game, approaching things for the first time. So we're going to see these kind of things. That's why I say with Colwill, we probably should have had a left-footed centre-back that's in front of him, that is obviously of the level, but he can also learn too, and we can rotate. I mean, it would have been. It's a long season. We've got the Conference League. We've got the Premier League. We've got other cup competitions too. So they definitely both would have got game time. But that's just my thoughts.
I agree. And like, hopefully the news, well, the hints of us going for a experienced centre back in January are true, because that would provide us a lot more relief going into second half of the season and the running of games, because we also have a pretty difficult end to the season as well. So yeah, let's hope so. Maybe these players just mature as the season goes by as well, because like that's the one thing football will do.
There's a centre back that we've been linked with, Thomas Araujo at Benfica. He's young, but he looks like he could be quite promising. But again, I just feel like we need someone of a more senior age to marshal that defense. I think that's what's needed. We need moments of, you know, where there's concentration is gone, or panic has kind of has set in because we've conceded, or we're conceding chances. We don't have that level head no more. We desperately need that, especially with young defenders, man. Young defenders, young goalkeepers, they need some guidance. They need mentors.
Otherwise, they just got to learn on the job, which is going to take a lot longer. A shout out to Modi saying defensive decision making very worrying. Again, we could tell that from the Arsenal match. That was an entire, like, just everyone fell asleep for that one. Two players on the left-hand side, Noni failing to track back, Colwill playing him offside, all onside, and that Sanchez, less said about that one, the better, which is just fucking annoying. But yeah, I just hopefully things are better within the next couple of weeks, because we got the right games coming up to do that. And I assume Arsenal and City are going to drop more points, especially City with the games that they have coming up too. So who knows? We might be in a position where we're above them in a few weeks, which is insane.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, my expectations right now is that we should have been 2 points behind Liverpool right now. And that's not me saying that we should be in a title race, or we would even be in a title race in that situation. But we didn't get 3 points against Manchester United, and we didn't get 3 points against Arsenal. This is why I'm frustrated. I want the league. I want it all, but I'm also very realistic. And the purpose for me was to just have a good cushion, a comfortable cushion within that top 4 already going into the Christmas period. That would have been absolutely great. Because listen, let's face it, there are several teams around us that could pip us to top 4. You know, they could. Let's be honest.
United are only 4 points behind us.
They're only 4
Villa,
points.
Newcastle.
They've got a good new manager coming in. Aston Villa, you already know they've got a very good manager. They've got a team that's playing good football. Newcastle have been slightly off it the beginning of so far, but you know they can pick up a run of games. And I think honestly, I'm not saying these two will get top 4, but I think one of Nottingham Forest or Brighton this season are going to finish surprisingly higher up the table. I think they will. I
could hear Forest. That ain't even a crazy take.
Yeah, Forest play. Iraola is a very good manager. I actually like the Brighton manager too. I think he's a good manager. I just think I think he's got a similar problem in terms of he's got a lot of youth in that squad. You know what I mean? So I kind of the scale. I agree with you. The scale for me would kind of tip for Nottingham Forest to finish slightly higher than them.
Yeah, because like their man are just frustrating. You can just tell the low block. They got a good defensive team and insane players on transition. Fits them like a glove. Like Nuno, he loves teams like Wolves and Forest. That makes perfect sense. Also says next fixture, I expect at least 10 points minimum. Next fixtures, you mean? I mean, so it's It is Leicester, Villa, Tottenham. Who's after Tottenham? Brentford, Ipswich, all of them, man. Yeah, like I don't expect there to be a difficult game for us, bar Aston Villa. Like Villa at home might be a problem. The rest we should all be getting 3 points, and I include Tottenham away in that because it's Tottenham. Like these men play the same brand of football. Will have chances. They'll play a high line. There's no reason for us not to take advantage.
I have been corrected. Thank you very much from Return of the Rudiger. I didn't realize I said Iraola. Iraola is the Bournemouth manager. I meant Santo, the old Wolves manager, is the Newcastle, the Nottingham manager. My bad. Thank you for pointing that out, though, my bro. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Big up to you, man. Big up, bro. But we're going to wrap up the stream here anyway. It's been a really good catch-up and everything. Guni, it's been blessed to have you on the channel as well. Everybody sub over to Man Knows Football. And we might be back live tonight. I'm checking to see if I can get Shameless running. If I can get Shameless running, we might do a little, like, overrated team of the season or something like that. So keep a lookout for it. And if we run Shameless, I will have the Super Chat lottery ready by then. So keep that in mind, guys. But yeah, big up to every single one of you that's locked in. Hit the likes, subscribe, all of that crap. And yeah, we might see you later. If not, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Before we go, who are we redirecting to? Who's live? Who's live that we like? Who's live that we like?
Let's have a look.
Footy Judge Mo. Yeah, everyone head over to Judge Mo. Everyone head over there. Big up, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care.